Today I want to talk about QuickBooks Invoice. So I want to give my honest review on this, and again, I'm just a normal person talking here. So let me tell you why it's just not another feature. It's been a game changer for my personal businesses, and if you've ever wasted hours sending invoices, following up on late payments, or wondering if a client has even seen your invoice, this video is for you. I struggle with this so badly, and I'm going to break down how QuickBooks invoicing works, what I've personally experienced with it, the pros and the cons, and whether it's for you in itself, right? And again, we're just kind of talking about that invoicing feature mainly, but we'll work into the other stuff. So here's the deal. When I first started my businesses, I was sending invoices with Word templates and like PayPal links. Yeah, it was extremely messy. I'd send an invoice, forget to follow up, and wouldn't realize a client was late until like weeks later. And I was wondering in my bank account if I was ever gonna get paid. And that's when I started looking for something that would not only like clean up the invoices, but actually help me stay on top of what was paid, what wasn't paid, what was overdue, and what was coming up. So, and to give you a little bit about me, my name's Chris. I run a handful of small businesses, and QuickBooks in itself, I struggle with the financing side of it all. So it's just like and that's why I'm doing this video, because like the invoicing feature in this tool, QuickBooks, like changed the game for me totally. And this is going to be brutal reality. So when I tried QuickBooks Online, I'll be honest, I didn't care about the accounting features at first. I just wanted better invoicing, right? And surprisingly, that one feature has kept me on QuickBooks ever since. So let's talk about how this works, right? Creating an invoice in QuickBooks is super simple. You just enter your client, you add the service or the product, you plug in the amount, you set the amount, the payment and amount terms, and you're kind of done, right? You can customize the layout a little bit. You can add your logo, change the color, and adjust the wording. You know, it's not super like heavy on the design, but I feel like you don't really need that with invoicing. And a lot of this like financial stuff is super simple, and I feel like you don't have to pay for like more than what you need. But that's my personal experience, right? The invoicing is kind of like the behind the scenes stuff, and when someone gets that invoice, you know, when they see it, it should be super simple, easy to read, and I feel like design is not a huge factor. But, and again, guys, if at any point during this video you want to check it out, QuickBooks, I'll throw my affiliate link down in the description. So here's where QuickBooks really stood out for me, right? And it's the payment flow. Once the invoice is sent, the client gets an email with a Pay Now button. They can pay right from their phone or computer using a credit card or a bank transfer. I had a client tell me once that it was the easiest invoicing experience I'd ever had. I don't know if it was true or they're just trying to flatter me, but it's just like, hey man, I'm just using this simple QuickBooks invoicing feature. And as a business owner, that was really rewarding to hear. And that's kind of why I'm jumping on camera and talking about this, right? I don't talk about this stuff a lot, but what you need to understand is it automatically records the payment in your book. So like you don't have to go in and manually match things up or mark stuff as paid. Like that's what I was doing. It was a total headache before. Now I don't have to do it. It's like I would compare it to like having an assistant in the background, making sure everything stays clean and current. And like I'm going to say over and over again, that was my biggest struggle with these small businesses, is the financing side in like taking care of the finances. So another thing I use now all the time is the recurring invoice feature. And I've got a few clients I bill the same amount every month rather than just remembering to send it on the first. QuickBooks just sends it automatically. I set it up once and it runs like clockwork. You know, I had a month where I completely forgot about billing one client, but thanks to QuickBooks, they got the invoice, paid it, and I didn't even realize until I checked my balance and saw the money already in my account. That's when I realized I wasn't just using a feature, I was solely like reliant on it and I was depending on it. And I know that's good, but sometimes bad, but like these tools allow you to kind of disconnect from this as a small business owner and just focus on the business, you know? And another feature that I really liked was the reporting feature. You know, you can see open invoices, you can see the overdue ones, you can see the paid ones, and it's kind of all in one dashboard. So when I log in, I really kind of like that. And it's been a huge help while doing monthly reviews or figuring out what cash is still floating out there. You know, I had a situation where a client hadn't paid in 45 days, and because I had QuickBooks reminders turned on, the system had already emailed them 3 gentle nudges, I guess you'd call them, before I had to step in. You know, what worked amazing though was they actually paid on the 3rd reminder. There was no awkward conversation even needed. And it was just like, that's when I was like, okay, this tool is completely worth it in itself, right? The invoicing feature, like I'm all in. So, you know, of course, no tool is perfect. So let's also talk about some of the real stuff that bugged me a tiny bit about this tool and that you should probably, you know, it's worth noting, right? So first, the customization of the invoices is pretty basic. I noticed this right away. You can tweak some colors, add a logo, and change a few fields, but if you're in a creative industry and want something super branded and aesthetic, you might feel a little limited. You know, I work with some designers and photographers, and I know that's a big deal in some of these spaces like that. It wasn't for me because it's just like super simple with like service-based stuff, but in some fields, maybe you need like fancy stuff in the invoicing. I don't know, maybe not. So second, the QuickBooks payments, and I got to think about how to say this. You know, what they call a feature that lets you accept online payments comes with processing fees. So that kind of sucks, right? It's nothing crazy, but it's about 2.9% for credit cards and 1% for ACH transfers. And you know, like if you're invoicing $5,000, that's $145 right off the top. And for me, the trade-off was worth it because of the convenience. But you know, if you're on a tight budget or tight margins, this might be something to think about. Thirdly, I gotta say the invoicing feature is built into QuickBooks Online. So if you just want invoicing and you don't need the full accounting platform, it might feel a little overkill. And again, there are tools like Wave or Bonsai that are lighter and more focused purely on sending invoicing and managing payments. But you know, that's gonna be up to you. You know, the thing is, those tools don't give you the same all-in-one view for your business finances like QuickBooks. Sometimes, you know, you start using QuickBooks for invoicing and it's really tempting to start using the rest of the system, and you're just like, I just want the invoicing feature. You know, I started off just using it for client billing, and now I track expenses. You know, I do bank accounts, and I run monthly reports without needing a separate bookkeeper. And again, I actually moved to the fact of not even needing like an on-site bookkeeper. So what started as an invoicing problem turned into a solution that took care of my whole financial solution. You know, it's a bad, but it's also a good. So that's kind of going to be up to you. You have to use one feature and you have to deal with the whole tool type of thing, you know? And again, guys, if you're interested in checking out QuickBooks invoicing, I'll throw my link in the description. To wrap this up, if you're already using QuickBooks Online or thinking about it, their invoicing feature is so 100% solid and worth it. It's not flashy, but it's reliable, it's professional, and it saves you a ton of time. It saved me a ton of time. You'll get paid faster. You don't have to chase around clients to get paid, and actually stay organized. I know that sounds like super simple, but like I can now solely just go out and concentrate on doing my business instead of worrying about financing and invoicing and people paying me so I can continue to do my business, right? And again, I'll drop a link down below. Hit me up in the comments if you guys have any questions. Again, I'm just a normal person kind of like ranting about small business and some of my adventures here on the channel and in life itself. So consider subscribing. That's my honest review on QuickBooks invoicing. I hope this helped you out. Like the video. I'll see you in the next one.